Take it with my therapist. Like I said, it was literally, I'd been working on a film for about a year and it had fallen apart, and I knew these guys, and I suddenly thought, you know what, there's not been a good anthology for a while, and I think
still not a good anthology.
we would mesh interestingly together, so I just kind of came to these guys and said, how about an anthology? And they said, yeah, and we didn't start with any kind of preconceived notion of what it was going to be. Drew. And so we said, all right, well, everyone go away and come back to the table in a couple of weeks and see what we come up with. And we all came back to the table and we all had these weird, perverse little stories that kind of just snowballed from there. And that just probably says a lot about us.
Were any of you involved in each other's pieces of work, or were they all shot individually?
They were all shot individually. We basically kind of gave each other notes on the scripts, but basically once everything was locked, we all went off and did our own thing. We had the same crew, but we basically went off and did our own projects, and then once we had a first cut, we came back together and watched the notes again. But, you know, the whole idea of the film was to basically do our own thing, which for better or for worse.
You seem like such a nice man. The middle section, obviously, that's I mean, were you worried when you actually started filming this project? Did you ever worry about you might run into trouble with the censors of BBFC or?
We actually gave the script to a senior examiner at the BBFC to read, and he was like, I don't have a problem with it. So, but that was a couple of years ago, so now the wind might be blowing in a different direction. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that was the best we could do at the time. He said, no, it's fine. He basically looked, he said, my episode was the one that might be problematic, but as long as it's not exploitative or lingering on jiggling breasts or anything like that, then you shouldn't have a problem. And he said, the rest of it's fine. And I have, I have that email, so when we get banned, I'll say, well, the BBFC clips are alright, but...
What half did you cut?
I think Andy's was the most effective.
Was there issues?
My penis was butchered, man. My sperm was removed. It was painful. Yeah, and also mine was cut in several ways because we set out to make an extreme horror film and we sold it to our financiers as we're making an extreme horror film, and it was something far too extreme for them in the end. But mine also, my story is quite a big, it's not all spelled out. You can see it's not a horror film script, 12 years, So yeah, so mine was kind of cut for that as well and kind of messed around. They put flashbacks in that shouldn't have been there, and it was messy. Yeah, you take money off people, you basically work for them. That's the lesson we had to learn, I think. I'm learning it.
Question? Do you think the final product is the movie you wanted to make?
I mean, I can only speak for myself, so Andy had a lot more problems with his edit than I did. It is within the constraints of time and money that we ultimately had to deal with. It is, I stand by this cut film. We had to fight for it. I mean, at one point we both quit, and then we went back on with the condition that we wouldn't be allowed to do our cut. And then we basically had no money to finish the film, and there were all sorts of nightmares with it. But yeah.
I'm down with all that. We are actors. Are they okay with being like 4th grade?
We had real trouble casting this film. I had an audition. Well, yeah, our casting agent was lovely, and she was a very sweet woman, and she was constantly getting phone calls from agents ringing her up saying, "Why are you sending my clients pornography?" And I had one casting session where I had about 25, 30 people coming in to read, and literally none of them turned up. That was a good day.
I saw him the next day, actually. It was a bit wobbly. The top lip was going.
So it was an interesting film to go.
Given the problems Has that put you off, and do you go forward to make something as extreme as this again, or do you think you now maybe play it safe a little bit?
Probably. I mean, I think it depends. If you're making your own personal work and it's not costing too much, I would say do what you want. If you're making a product you're hoping to sell, then have a zombie and somebody pointing a gun at it and the poster and then you can sell it.
I don't know. I've got one script I want to do, which has kind of got some weird stuff in it. But I think it's more a question of who you work with, and we, as in myself and Andy, we didn't. The execs that came on board this project were not necessarily people we knew or were au fait with, and that was a bad idea.
We know
I will choose wisely in future.
Can I just ask what's your favourite horror movie? Like what do you take inspiration from?
There are so many. I like like 70s stuff. I mean, it kind of varies from movie to movie because I've just finished a new movie and that's much more kind of subtle and atmospheric than this is, and you know that's kind of very much more old school, Hallelujah and stuff like that. You know, this one I think is more, you know, something like Deathline was a real inspiration for this. But yeah, I like a lot of stuff I grew up on. The 70s were a great era for horror for me, just in terms of that just seemed a lot more intelligent and a lot grittier and everything then. You know, a lot of stuff now is just a bit too sanitized and corporate approved and all that kind of thing. So
I did mind using the red cameras.
And the arse.
he didn't like them, I did.
Well, I especially didn't like it because the drives crashed on one day for me and lost. Basically, each film was shot in a week, and I lost half a day's footage due to drives crashing. And we hired it from this real cheap old company who wouldn't kind of rip them apart and make it work again. So I had to reshoot half a day's footage and then try and pick up to where I was. So if that hadn't happened, it would have been okay. But yeah, it's a nice camera when it's working.
How do you think it would have stayed 3 short movies?
I mean, I guess they work as 3 short movies. I mean, that's the nature of the kind of anthology movies is that you can essentially make 3 shorts, which on an indie film there are certain advantages that come with that, but you bolt them together and all of a sudden they're a feature. So, you know, I think again, we thought it would work because thematically they work together, but essentially, I guess you can play them separately. There doesn't seem to be any reason why not.
It sounds like you've got a little bit of disdain for sort of more conventional horror films that are out now. So do you think as an audience that's what we should be watching in the future?
No, I mean, you know, I think there's films like this, there's obviously a more limited audience for them, and that's fine. You know, you've just got to make them at the appropriate budget level. I kind of think horror movies are capable of more than that we're getting sometimes at the moment. But that's really just kind of up to people to stop going to see remakes and bullshit sequels and whatever else.
We have to wrap it up there because we've got more stuff to come. So I just want to say thank you so much to Andrew.